friends, it's Tracy from Tea Time with Tracy and Friends. Boris is right here. Magda is in the bedroom there. And I'm a little late to the party getting this video done, but I want to take part in Vamp-Tember this year. I've never taken part in it. This is put on by Regina's Haunted Library. Here's her deets. I'll put all the channels mentioned in this video down below too, so you should go check them out, absolutely. Other co-hosts are the Bookubus. I've followed her for a very long time. That's the first video I found of Vamp-Tember, which directed me to Regina's video, which I had been following her anyways. I just seen the Bookubus first. Anyways, here's the Bookubus. And another co-host is Elizabeth Sagewood. Here. Fabulous, fabulous. And E.D. Lewis Reviews. Here. So, anyways, they're simple prompts. I'm just going to go through them quick, and then I have some book suggestions and tell you what I'm going to be reading. I have my Chromebook right here and my computer there and stuff. So, the first prompt is number 1. Read or something old. Read a classic pre-20th century vampire-themed book, short story, comic, graphic novel, or poem. For this, I am doing a poem. I've already done my September TBR, and I have a couple of vampire books on this already, so I'll be reading vampire books, but I thought I would add a vampire poem or two. Now, I looked up what is an old vampire poem, and the first suggested poem is from 1748, a German poet. His name is Heinrich August Ossenfelder, and the poem is called Der Vampire, in brackets, the vampire. And that was supposedly the first suggested vampire poem. So I am reading that. That is certainly pre-20th century, 1748. Yeah. Anyways, that's what I'm reading for the first prompt. But you could read anything, book, poem or graphic novel or short story or anything like that. The second prompt is something new. Read a vampire-themed book, short story, comic, graphic novel, or poem published within the past decade. Okay, I'm doing another poem for this because I will tell you the books that I'm reading this month anyways for my September TBR. I got this from Hello Poetry Online, and it's Vampires and Dinosaurs by David Engot from March 2015, and it's kind of a silly poem. So it's about dinosaurs and vampires metaphorically, and how they well, it's just a silly poem. It's a little long, but it's a poem. Number 3. Something bloody. Read a vampire-themed extreme horror book, short story, comic, graphic novel, poem. And I got this from poets.org. This is another poem, and it doesn't have to be like an actual extreme, gory, bloody, messed up book. It's just something that's not children or YA. Something that has some teeth to it. And I'm doing another poem for this. So, like I said, I got this from poets.org, and this is called The Vampire, and this was written in 1914 by Conrad Aiken. He's passed now. He was born in 1899, and he died in 1973. And he was a famous poet. So I'm reading that. So it's not extremely, I've already read the poem. It's not extremely graphic. It's very metaphorical, and it's about this young woman who is grief-stricken and wakes up to taunts, and it's almost vengeance, and pretty much ravishes a community, and everything is covered in blood, and you either bend to her will or that's it. And it's not descriptive in gore, but the metaphors and the insinuations of what this poem is, it's, you know, I think it falls under that category. So, and that's kind of a long poem too, but I really enjoyed it. I do like myself some poetry once in a while. All right, number 4, something just for you. Read or reread a favorite vampire-themed YA book, short story, comic, graphic novel, or poem. And I put Twilight. I read that whole series way back when it first came out, like back in my 30s. I don't know how long I read it like as soon as it came out. Just picked up a book randomly and then I devoured the whole series. And I haven't touched it since. Anyways, I put that. I do have the hardback, but it's up in my attic holding up a shelf in one of my bookshelves up there. But I have since, I'm in my library era, so I got it from the library, audio, and I might listen to Twilight. That's YA. I haven't read it in so long. If by chance I don't get to this, I have other things I could use. I have a suggestion over here that I could use too. But for now, I'm putting Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. And yeah. So other prompts. There is a group read, Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I do not have this book. I do have the Hacienda, and I haven't read it yet. But I don't have this book. And I'm currently not buying books. It's not free on Kindle, and I'm not going to go buy this. So I probably won't read this, but it's probably fabulous. I don't know. I have never read her before, but it's a group read. I guess there's a little romance involved in this book too. I'm not sure, but I'm not reading this. And then optional fun stuff. Number 1, dress up like a vampire and share images and videos on social media. All this stuff, everything is optional. I'm not really going to dress up. I dress in black all the time, every day, every single day. Anyways, so, you know, whatever. And number 2, create your own vampire-themed artwork and or written work and share on social media. Number 3, watch a vampy film or TV show and review it on social media. I think I'm going to watch the Dracula movie from 1992 with Gary Oldman in it. Fabulous. I seen that in theaters when it first came out back in 1992 with Anthony Hopkins and Keanu Reeves and Winona Weiner. And anyways, I think I'm going to watch that. Number 4, visit a vampy location. Gothic graveyard, Vampa Museum. Use your imagination. Just don't break any laws and be safe. And then there's number 5, group watch The Lost Boys. This is like my favorite movie. It's so nostalgic, and I love David in that movie. I had such a crush on him. Oh my gosh. Kiefer Sutherland. Oh. All right. So that's my, it's poetry heavy. But what I am reading this month is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I have that right here. I read this book as a teenager, like a long time ago. I'm half a century old, but I read this as a teenager, and I want to reread it now at the age that I'm at. I read the Mayfair Witches trilogy this year so far, and I want to kick off the Vampire Chronicles because I have all the books, and this is a vampire one. I had planned on reading this anyways before I heard about Vamp-Tember, so this is a book I'll be reading and suggest. Another one is Salem's Lot. I have never read this book. I'm taking part in a read-along with Oh, I have it down here. This kiwi, and bear with me. Yeah, this kiwi, the book Dreamer's Alley, pacing through the pages. Yeah, there's a Discord and all this stuff. I'm reading Salem's Lot, Stephen King. I've read quite a few Stephen King books. Ta-da! And I want to read this one. So since they're doing it, that's from October 1st to the 31st, I'll be reading this as well. And this is from 1975. Anne Rice's book. I have it written down, but yeah, this story was put out in 1976. So those two are definite going to be read. And then those poems. And I'm taking part in another readathon from Brittany Loves Reading. It's a weekend with Timmies. She does a thing. There's 2 prompts. There's read a book that'll make you cry, which I don't really cry at books, but I'll try my best. And graphic novel. And I don't really read graphic novels, but I have this one, Garlic and the Vampire. So this would kind of count for one of those prompts for Vamp-Tember 2. I have the other one too, Garlic and the Witch, or those two. Anyways, so that would count too. I don't know. I'm going to try my darndest. Now, I have some book recommendations. I'm not going to get into the books. I'm just going to show you, and it'll be up to you if you want to try them on for size. Let me get that. So the first book, I listened to this like as an audiobook this year, and it was released in 2025. It's The Hunger Stone by Kat Dunn. It's a Camilla retelling, and I enjoyed it. It's a vampire book with women, and I really liked it. And you can't go wrong with Dracula, but I read this when I was a teenager too. I can't believe I read this as a teenager. And it was actually this book. I've had it for all these years. Apple Classic. Anyways, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Where can I put these? For a bizarro, weird, this was put out in 1979. Dracula in Love by John Shirley. I did read this. It's really bizarre. The moment Vladimir saw a letter, he felt an ominous chill. Then he opened it and found a note from his unknown father, a note signed by Dracula. A haunting and bizarre Dracula tale mixed with equally bizarre erotic love story. It's messed up and bizarre. And John Shirley is known like for the early splatterpunky, weird, bizarre horror. And yeah, I read this years ago, and it still baffles me. I read this a couple years ago, Lost Souls by Poppy Z. Bright. This follows a band of vampires who has a companion with them, and then a guy that's trying to chase them down, and it's almost like a road trip through New Orleans. And I loved it. Yeah, loved it, loved it. She wrote Exquisite Corpse. I have that book. I haven't read it yet. And I have another book of hers, Drawing Blood, I think. I don't know. I think it's a haunted house story, but I have read this and I enjoyed it. They Thirst by Robert McCammon. I read this year, and this was put out in 1981. This is over, like, this is in Los Angeles. Vampires taking over Los Angeles, and a band of survivors trying to take out the head honcho, cut the head off the snake sort of thing, but you're surrounded by vampires, so you get to know some of these people, and it's survival and all that kind of thing. I enjoyed it. I've read some of Robert McCammon's books, and yeah, I enjoy everyone. The next one is Let the Right One In by John Advent Lindquist from 2004. This is a movie. I've never seen the movie. I have read the book, and this is like child vampire, cold, Swedish. This is a translated book too. Haunting. Really like it. Dan Simmons, Children of the Night. this is part of the Seasons of Horror. You do not have to read them in order. This is the first Dan Simmons book I ever read as a teenager, and this follows. I'm going to reread it this fall. Actually, it's on my fall TBR. So is Let the Right One In. They're in Transylvania. There's orphanages. There's desolate orphanages with skeletal babies and children with AIDS and all the different things. Wealthy vampires, corrupt. And I remember really liking it, but I want to reread it to find out what I think of it now. The Light at the End by John Skip and Craig Spector. This is an old one too. This was from 1986. I read this year. This is Mysterious Killings in Subways in New York. Is that what it is? I don't know. A subway. And it's gory. It's trashy. And I love this cover. Even though it's tore up, it's shiny. Vampire. Alright. I have these written down so I can... The 30 Days of Night. I haven't read these books. I've seen the movie years ago, and I only have 2 of the books here, but there's comics of this, and then there's novelizations of this. Steve Niles and Jeff Marriott? I don't know. Anyways, I haven't read these yet, but if it's like the movie, it's in Alaska, and there's vampires and survival and adventure and cold and horrific circumstances. I'll get to it someday. The Strain. I haven't read these either. This is a trilogy. I only have 2 of the books. The Strain is book 1. The Fall is book 2. I think this is more like sci-fi vampire. I think this is vampire. Anyways, I haven't read it yet, so I can't really talk about it. But it's vampire. The Girls by Ray Gratton. I read Bestial and Ravenous. Those are horror werewolf stories, and I really like those. I recommend those. I have those books. This would be the 3rd book of his that I read, and it's the first book in the Davy Owens duet, and it's vampires. I think a guy goes to a club, and he kind of can't get out, and it's survival. Sexy ladies, you know. So, that. I think that's all of them. I do have some here. Another one by Dan Simmons is Carrying Comfort, but it's huge. Loved that one. I read that this year. Loved it. Very manipulative and greedy vampires. This was how I mentioned Goodnight Kiss by R.L. Stine. It's one of the Fear Street books. Is this YA? I don't know. Is this middle grade? I don't know. I used to read Fear Street books. And I've read this one, but it's been so long. Her neck has a couple of vampire pokes in it, so Goodnight Kiss. If I needed to do that instead of Twilight. Now, I have some movie suggestions. Well, before that, I'll just show you real quick. I'm not even going to get into them. If you're into spicy romance stuff, Presley Cole's A Hunger Like No Other is like, this one's vampire and werewolf, but she has a giant series with a whole bunch of different characters that you can read, not necessarily in order, but there's an overarching story. These aren't all the books I have, but Karina Halley has some different books that are vampire inspired, spicy. J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood. I had the book out, but I don't know where it is now. Another giant series that is all vampires. And yeah, so some movies. I have all these movies. I have a VHS lounge in my attic, and I didn't want to go dig all of these movies out. But I do have them, and I recommend them, and I used to rewatch. I was in a total vampire era as a teenager. I even had a coffee maker in my room so I could stay up and watch all these movies and stuff. I was a junkie. Anyways, Fright Night 1 or 2 from in the 1980s. I think they might have newer ones out now, but I'm talking about the 1980s. Fright Night 1 and 2. Loved it. Loved it. Loved them. I know the Bookubus mentioned this one, Near Dark. You got to watch that one if you've never seen it before. It's classic. She also mentioned Innocent Blood. I have that. I have all of these. It's a mafia vampire movie. Love it. 30 Days of Night from 2007. I don't know if there's newer remakes of it. I have no idea. But yeah, I found the head vampire quite attractive. The True Blood TV show. Now, I read all of Charlene Harris Sookie Stackhouse books years ago. I donated them. I enjoyed them at the time that I read them, but when True Blood came out, oh my goodness. I don't often say that. Well, the Sookie Stackhouse books are more YA, and I don't really read YA, and there's nothing wrong with YA, it's just not my thing. The True Blood show is much more adult, and I loved it. Loved it. So if you haven't seen True Blood, it's different than the books. There's some similarities, but it's different than the books. Loved it. And then I was obsessed with this book from 1998, Vampires. John Carpenter, I think, that did this book. But, yeah, I've watched this a million times. And then an old one from 1985, Transylvania 65000, has Gene Wilder in it and Jeff Goldblum in it. And, yeah, it's a funny vampire movie. So, those are just some recommendations that you might not have known about. Some of them are popular, some of them are older, that, you know, depending on who's watching this. But I'm a vampire geek from my teenage, young adult ages, and the grittier and scarier and bloodier and gorier, the better for me. So, anyways, with that, I'm going to leave all the links down below. I don't think it's too late to join. I'm putting this video now, so it's September 2nd. So, anyways, I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose, but if not, that's okay too. I still love you. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. So, okay, guys, with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning, and I will. See you next time. Bye.